Hi everyone! Grab your kids, it's time for story time. We're going to be reading a story today for our families, for our children, mums and dads. I hope this gives you a little break so that you can just go and have a rest and we can read your kids a story. So if you want to go and get your kids, bring them here. While we're waiting, any kids, if we've got any kids with us, I have my favourite bear here. His name is Benny Boo Boo. He's a Christmas bear, and I have had him for a long, long time, even before I had kids, because I love teddy bears.
And I've got my favourite bear, and his name is Donald.
Thanks, Kerry. Your bear is a bit bigger than my bear, isn't it? But they look like they could be brothers. Can you bring him back? Ooh, they look like they could be brothers. Brother bears, brother bears. Why don't you take the bears, Kerry, and sit down there and we can read our story today. So our story that we're going to read today is called The 1 O'Clock Miracle. And it is a great story and I love it. It was the Children's Book of the Year in 2016 at the Speaking Volumes Christian Book Awards. So that's pretty cool. It won an award. Maybe you've won an award at school sometime. This book has won an award too. The 1 O'Clock Miracle. What can you see happening in that picture there? Long, long ago, there lived an important man who worked for the king. He was sad and so worried. His son was very ill, so ill that he was going to die, and no one could help him. Don't worry, kids, there's a good ending to this story. He heard that a man named Jesus was doing amazing, wonderful things. He heard that Jesus was making ill people well again. Sorry, guys, got to get my screen and figure out what I'm doing. There we go. He heard that Jesus was doing things that only God can do. So the man decided to ask Jesus for help. Have you ever asked Jesus for help? I ask Jesus for help every day. So can you see? He's hearing that Jesus is doing amazing things. Here, he heard that Jesus had turned water into wine. And here, he had heard that Jesus healed a man who couldn't walk. And here, he heard that Jesus healed a man that couldn't see, and then he could see. Have you heard that Jesus does those things? I have. The man and his son lived in Capernaum by the sea. Yeah, there's the Sea of Galilee. Here's Cana and here's Capernaum. They seem a long way away, don't they? But Jesus was staying in Cana, more than 20 miles away. I'm not great at quick maths, but I think that's over 30 kilometres, maybe even more. So all that distance through mountains, and there was a lot, see that red line? It's a big long track all the way from where Jesus was to where this man was. But the man decided that he must see Jesus. So he said goodbye to his son and his family and he set off to see Jesus. Up the hill he walked and sometimes ran because he wanted so badly to see Jesus. And you see him going up a big mountain. The sun went down, the night was dark and the stars were bright, but the man didn't stop. He kept going. That's a big bag he's got there, isn't it? Huffing and puffing, this way, huffing and puffing, he walked and sometimes ran, hurrying to see Jesus. The sun came up, the morning arrived, but there was still a long way to go. Have you ever driven in the car for a long time? This man had to walk all that way. Puffing and panting, the man walked and sometimes ran. because he needed to see Jesus. Can you see there that he's walking and running to see Jesus? Here he is. At last, at 1 o'clock in the morning, in the afternoon, the man reached Cana, the town where Jesus was. He had walked and sometimes ran, and now at last he could see Jesus. Welcome to Cana. In he goes. Does that city look like our cities? Cities looked a bit different back in Bible times. They didn't have cars. That's why the man had to run, and they had different looking houses. Please, sir, he said, my son is dying. Please come with me. Please make him better. The man knew that if Jesus came with him and touched his son, the boy would be well. But Jesus said, who can read that word? Go. Go? Go away? What did Jesus mean? What? Go home without Jesus? This man had asked Jesus to come and heal his son, but Jesus said, go. He must have been very confused. After all that walking, even running to get Jesus to come, but Jesus hadn't finished yet. Go, Jesus said, and then he added, your son will live. Now the story's getting exciting, isn't it? The man believed Jesus. The man believed him. Wow, isn't that great? Jesus said something and the man believed him. Jesus wasn't going to come to the man's home. He wasn't going to touch the boy and make him well. But the man trusted that what Jesus said was true. You know, sometimes God says something different than we might have asked, but when we trust him and what he says, things are going to turn out well. So the man trusted him, and what did he do? Down the hill he walked and sometimes ran, because he believed Jesus. The sun went down, the night was dark, and the moon shone brightly. The man felt so tired, but on and on he walked and sometimes ran because he trusted Jesus. You see here, he says, which way? Okay. Your son will live. Your son will live. He was running and running, believing the word that Jesus had said to him. The sun came up, a new morning arrived, and still he walked and walked. Though his back ached and his legs were very tired. Your son will live, remembering those words that Jesus spoke to him. On he walked and sometimes ran, because he was sure Jesus would make his son well. Then, far away in the distance, he saw some men. They came closer and closer. They were his own servants. They must have news, he thought. But what news would it be? Would it be good news or bad news? Sir, they said, it's your son. He is alive. He is well again. The man was bursting for joy. When? The man asked. When did he get better? Yesterday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock, the man replied. Then the man remembered the time. It was 1 o'clock when he saw Jesus. It was 1 o'clock when Jesus said his son would live. And it was 1 o'clock when his son got better. Jesus didn't need to go and see the boy. He didn't need to walk and walk. He didn't have to run. Jesus simply spoke. He spoke, and that thing that he spoke came to pass. Do you remember that God even spoke the world into existence? Isn't that amazing? Jesus' words have so much power. And just like that, the boy was better. Wow, only Jesus can do that. And do you know why? Because Jesus is God's son. Happy and smiling, the man walked home, and sometimes he ran to see his son again. He told his son and family about Jesus and how Jesus could do things only God can do. And they all believed in Jesus, God's son too. Your son will live. And now that the man's son was well, what could he do? He looks pretty excited, doesn't he? And the boy looks very well. He could smile, he could laugh, he could walk, and he could run. And all because of Jesus. Isn't that a great story? I can see we might have Matilda online, and I know Matilda has received amazing miracles in her life. We might have Riley, and we might have, thank you, Jessie, for jumping on with us. We've also got another family on. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for our story today. We've also got Harvey. Hello. So thank you guys for joining us for the 1 o'clock miracle. I hope you've enjoyed our story today, and I hope that encourages you to believe the words that Jesus says, because this man believed Jesus and he saw an amazing miracle. So thanks for joining me today. Bye, guys. God bless.